Salvete! Hello everybody, welcome to another Latin language video. Stephen here. I hope you're doing well today. We have been talking a lot about third declension nouns in this third unit of this beginner's course, if you've been following the sequence of lessons. We will come back to that, but I thought for today we could do something a little bit different, just for variety, and we could talk about participles, which will enable us to make more interesting sentences. Before we do that, just a few new items of vocabulary on this here little whiteboard. A few words for you, not so many. Vita. Vita is the word for life. It's first declension, it ends in a, it's feminine. Vita. Vitality. Vital. Something's important for life. Vita. So if you were thinking the feminine singular, down the case, it'd be vita, vita, vitam, accusative, vitai, vitai, vita. It's going to fall through, just like puella, puella, puellam, mensa, mensa, mensam. Another feminine noun, we've got gloria. I won't insult you by giving you the English, it's obviously the same. Gloria. So vita, the vital aspect, your life. Vita, vita, gloria. Now we've got a neuter word, second declension. Remember the second declension neuters end in like bellum, forum, venum, donum. Donum's a gift, donation. Atrium, the atrium in the house. Well, this is another room of the house. This is tablinum. Tablinum, and it's the word for study. So this will be the room where the master of the house, the pardon me, what they call a pater familias. Pater is the father, the head of the family, father of the family. Pater familias would maybe receive his guests into this room and maybe conduct his business. It would also be where the family records would be kept, especially if it was a family that had ancestors who'd occupied magisterial posts, official posts in the state. I believe that's where the records were kept. In any case, tablinum looks a bit like the word table. You can maybe imagine the master sitting at his table, his desk, although we should recall that the word for table is actually mensa, but it looks like the English. Tablinum is a study. Please also remember that neuter nouns do not undergo any change from the nominative to the accusative. So whether it's the subject or the object, it stays tablinum. So if I say I enter the study, that would be a direct object, I enter it. Tablinum intro, from intrare. The master enters the study. Dominus tablinum intrat. What if you're in the study, located there? Which case is that? The word is in, like English, in. Ablative, well remembered if you knew that. Place where. So in tablino, just like in foro, in atrio. Okay, in the study, in tablino. So ego in tablino sedeo. I'm sitting in the study. Ego in tablino lego. Do you remember that one? Legere, to read. So legible. So tablinum. Adverb this time. Subito means suddenly. The nice thing about these adverbs is they don't change. There's no endings to decline. It just gives us a bit more information in the sentence. Subito. Subito, subito. A verb now, guys. We have the verb cogitare. Notice the long vowel cogitare. Are verb means to think. We have in English to cogitate. To think, ponder, reflect, that kind of thing. Cogitare. How would we conjugate it? Take off the are, gives us a stem which goes up to the T. Cogit. Cogito. I think, I reflect. Cogitas, cogitat. Cogitamus, we. Cogitatis, you guys, plural. Cogitant, they. One more time. Cogito. Cogitas, cogitat. Cogitamus, cogitatis, cogitat. As you can say, cogito. Don't bother me. I'm reflecting. The philosophers cogitat. The philosopher cogitates. In tablino, maybe. In tablino cogitamus. We cogitate, we reflect in the study. How appropriate. And maybe you want to say cogitating or thinking about something. Well, the word about, concerning, is Day, this is a little preposition, day. And much like cum, you remember that one? Cum, meaning with, alongside. It's always followed by the ablative case. So whatever you're thinking about, that word would go into the ablative, all right? So if you're thinking maybe about money, pecunia, that would be ablative, and as we know, it just gets a long A. De pecunia. De pecunia cogitamos. We are thinking about de pecunia. We're thinking about the dinner, cena. De cena cogitamos. So something like that. All right. So vita, life, vital aspect. Vita, gloria. Tablinum, in tablino, in the study. In atrio, in foro, in tablino, in the study. Subito, suddenly. And cogitare, to cogitate or reflect, to think, possibly with day, about cogitare day. Cogitare day. Okay, so there we can refer back to those, and we'll use some of these words in the video. I said we want to talk about participles, more specifically present participles. The linguists amongst you may be very familiar with this term, but some of you perhaps new to language study may not be quite sure what a participle is. Sounds perhaps a little bit complicated. Well, it's fairly easy really. A participle is a word that participates in the qualities of both a verb and an adjective. It is verbal and it is adjectival. It is not the verb in the sentence, it's not the main verb, but it's connected to an action or a state, but it's descriptive. It's giving a bit more description about what's happening. Now, a present participle in English would end in ing. So let's think, for instance, of a few simple examples in order to elucidate this point. The boy studying hard in the library forgets to eat his lunch. Now, the verb is the forgets. The boy forgets. All right, but the studying, although it's connected to a verb to study, clearly, it's adjectival. It's giving description. This is what we call a participle. It's a present participle because it's happening at the same time as the main verb in the sentence. All right. So whilst studying, he forgets. Let's do another one. The farmer working in the field sees his friend. The farmer working in the field sees his friend. What's the main verb there? Sees. Because that's really what happens, isn't it? The farmer sees his friend. That's the crucial part of it. But the working, the ing is your participle, present participle. And it's just giving us a bit more information, a bit more description about the farmer. As he sees his friend, or the time when he sees his friend, he's actually working. All right? So that's what a present participle is. Let us take that very sentence. What is the verb to work in Latin? It's a first conjugation are verb, like to labour. Laborare, laborare. Take off the are, it gives you the stem labor, ending in the a. Can we conjugate together, guys? Laboro, laboras, laborat. I work, you work, he, she works. Laboramos, laboratis, laborant. So if you just want to say the farmer works, it would be agricola laborat. And that's your main verb in the sentence, what we call a finite verb, a verb which has been put into a tense and made to agree with the subject. Finite verb. Agricola laborat. Now, nunc. In the field. Field is campus, masculine. Place where you camp. Ablative in campo. Agricola. Nunc in campo laborat. That could translate as the farmer works, as a general statement, a general truth, or indeed is working, which is to say something that's transpiring right now, present continuous in English. Agricola in campo laborat. Right, but we don't want to say this time he works, we want to say the farmer working in the field, so it's a participle, giving us a bit more information, but there's another main verb coming. Sees his friend. So in Latin, taking laborare The participle for singular nominative is going to be laborans. So we basically just add ans to the stem. And the good news is that is the case, be it masculine or feminine. All right? So in the singular nominative, the person doing the working, doing the action. Agricola laborans, the farmer, working, which is to say, who is working? Whilst working. Now, in of itself, that's not a complete sentence. We need more information. We need a verb, a finite verb. This is the participle. The same would be with the girl working. Puella laborans, identical for masculine and feminine, which is great. It's nice that that's the case for once. So, agricola laborans, puella, matrona laborans, puer, the boy, laborans, singular. All right. So, agricola in campo laborans, sees his friend, amicum accusative from amicus, videt. Remember videre? Video, vides, videt, sees. So, main verb, videt. Agricola videt. Whom? Amicum. Agricola, amicum, videt. What's the participle? Laborans. Who's it agreeing with? The farmer, nominative. Agricola laborans, singular. The farmer working in campo, in the field, sees his friend. So I put an example here at the bottom. Don't worry about the rest of this information for now. We'll get to it. See if we can just work out this in English. We can decipher it. So, gladiator, our favourite. In arena pugnans. Leonem, remember the Leo? Superat. Gladiator in arena pugnans. Leonem superat. So, you've probably worked out that I've put this word in red because it's the present participle and it ends in the ans. So, pugnare, take off the are, gives you pugn, pugnans. Again, it will be the same for he or she. So, the gladiator, fighting, this is going to be ing word in English, present participle, fighting in the arena. What's the main verb? The finite verb, superat, overcomes, defeats, overpowers. Whom or what? Leonem, accusative. Nominative is leo. Translation, the gladiator fighting in the arena overpowers the lion. So this is your main verb here that I've underlined, superat. Gladiator leonem superat. You could not have the sentence without the superat. You could indeed have it without the pugnans, because it's adjectival, it's just giving extra information. But the verb is crucial. Gladiator fighting in the arena, in arena pugnans, leonem superat. Let's try and make a few new sentences with some of the vocabulary that we've learnt hitherto or we've got on this board. So, what about the girl walking in the street greets the matron? The girl walking in the street, so walking's your participle, greets the matron. Let's just go back to the verb. The infinitive to walk. Ambulare. Ambulo, ambulas, ambulat. Alright, so if we were just saying the girl walks in the street, and that's the finite verb, puella ambulat in we are. Puella in we are ambulat, and that would be fine. But this time, the ambular is a participle, not the verb, so it's going to be ans, like laborans, pugnans, puella. In we are ambulans. Again, it matters not whether it's male or female. If it was the puer, the boy, it would still be ambulans, singular. Puella in via ambulans greets, like salutes, the matron. Matronam, accusative, salutat. Puella in via ambulans matronam salutat. Well done, if you got it right. So it's nice that we can expand our sentences and add more detail, make them more interesting. This is important. Latin, very much like classical Greek, makes great use of participles, so it's very important that we use them, and I think this is quite a nice, easy lesson. So, ans, ans, ans. Let's do another one. What's the verb to await, wait for, or expect? It's very similar. It's first conjugation. Expectare. Expectare. Expecto. Expectas. Expectat. Right. So, the matron is expecting. Matrona well, the verb would be expectat, but if she is expecting, as in that's a participle, it's going to be expectans. She's expecting dinner. The matron, expecting dinner, awaiting dinner, chastises, punishes the slave girl. Oh dear. The matron, awaiting dinner, whilst awaiting, in the process of awaiting dinner. So, matrona, canam accusative, expectans, expectans, ancillam, can you remember, to chastise, rebuke, castigat. Matrona, canam, expectans, canam, in villa, in the house, expectans, ancillam, castigat. If there were more than one slave girl or maid, ancillas, accusative plural. All right, very good. So you'll notice there are two accusatives, aren't there, in that sentence? The verb is, the finite verb is castigat, chastises, punishes. Whom? The slave girl. So that's your accusative of the main verb, ancillam, or plural ancillas. But at the same time, the participle expecting what? It's expecting something, so that also requires an object, which goes into the accusative, and that's why it's not cana, but canam. So there are two, one accusative after the participle, and one accusative after the verb. Canam expectans, ancillam castigat. I hope that's clear for you. Right, so we had this new verb, didn't we? To cogitate, to think about, cogitare. The master, cogitating, reflecting in the study, calls his slave, calls the slave. Let's do the first bit, right? Cogitare, cogito, cogitas, cogitat. Put this participle, so it's going to be cogitans. Dominus, in tablino, in the study, cogitans. Dominus in tablino, cogitans. Servum, accusative, calls. Vocat, with the vox, the voice, vocat. Main verb, vocat. Dominus servum vocat, he calls the slave. But the master, let's give some more detail. The participle cogitans, thinking, reflecting, in tablino. Reflecting about what? Cogitans day, about life. De vita, just make it a little bit longer for ablative. Dominus, de vita cogitans. Will be more normal, I think, in Latin with the participle after it. Dominus, de vita cogitans, servum vocat. Maybe he's going to give him a bit of a philosophical lecture. Perhaps he's thinking about money. Dominus, de pecunia cogitans, in tablino cogitans, servum vocat. All right, very, very good indeed. So if an are verb, like laborare, ambulare, cogitare, is ans, what do you think is going to happen participle-wise with a ere second conjugation or ere third conjugation verb? It's going to become ens. So ans, ens, for singular. Sedeo, sedere. Sedens. Ego sedens, I sitting. Sitting here, I'm teaching a lesson. The master sitting in the study. Dominus in tablino sedens, and remember, it'll be the same if it's a lady. Matrona in atrio sedens. Then you get another verb. Other second conjugation verbs: videns, seeing. Third conjugation, what about ducere, to lead, like the duke? Ducens. So the second and third both get ens, which is good. Let's try that then with a few sentences. What was the verb to write? To write, like the scribe. Scribere, third conjugation, ere, scribere. So the participle will be scribens, singular, writing. The master, writing a letter, an epistle. The master writing a letter calls his son. The master writing a letter calls his son. Dominus, epistulam, accusative, scribens, filium vocat. Main verb, vocat, he calls. participle scribens. It's describing what he's doing. Dominus in tablino, in the study. Epistulam scribens, writing a letter, as is in the process of writing the letter. Filium son vocat. So it's a present participle because the writing the letter is happening at the same time as he calls the son. All right, so that's why it's present participle, which is ans or ens for singular. Again, that sentence had two accusatives. The main verb is vocat. Whom does he call? The son, filium. The participle in itself, writing. What is he writing? A letter. That must also be an accusative because it's the object of the participle. Epistulam scribens. If you were reading the letter, epistulam legens. Dominus epistulam legens. Blah, blah, blah. What about this time? What's the verb to sit, to be sitting? Sedere, yeah, second conjugation. Sedeo, sede, sedet. So the boy, sitting in the garden, reads a book, or is reading a book. The boy, sitting in the garden, so sitting is your participle. Reads is going to be your verb. So from sedere, take off the ere, it's going to be ens. Puer, in horto, in the garden, ablative case. In horto, sedens. Puer in horto, sedens. Librum, from liber, librum legit. It's got it on the end because it's third conjugation. Lego, legis, legit, legimus, legitis, legunt. Puer in horto, sedens, sitting in the garden. Whilst he's sitting in the garden, that's a participle. Librum legit. If you want to introduce a sudden action, this is where an adverb subito comes in. The boy, sitting in the garden, suddenly sees the matron. The boy, sitting in the garden, suddenly sees the matron. Puer, in horto, sedens, participle sedens. Subito, matronam, videt. Did I say greets or sees? Salutat. Which way? Whichever. Puer in horto sedens. Subito, suddenly, nice word. Subito, matronam videt, or matronam salutat, or calls her suddenly. Matronam vocat. All right. Very, very good indeed. Maybe we could just do one or two more. Let's take the merchant. What's the verb to drink? Third conjugation. Imbibe. Bibere. Bibo, bibis, bibit. Bibimus, bibitis, bibunt. Bibo, bibis, bibit, bibere. What's the participle going to be then? Bibens. Second and third conjugation get ens. Bibens. The merchant drinking wine in the tavern. Mercator. In taberna vinum bibens. Mercator in taberna vinum, neuter wine, bibens, drinking the wine. Thinks about money, cogitates about money. Cogitat de pecunia cogitat. Mercator in taberna sedens. Mercator in taberna vinum bibens de pecunia cogitat. The merchant drinking wine in the tavern counts his money using numerare, it's a number. Numerare. He counts numerat. Pecuniam numerat. Mercator in taberna vinum bibens pecuniam numerat. Mercator in taberna vinum bibens, drinking the wine. And as he drinks the wine, this is your participle, bibens. Pecuniam numerat, main verb, numerat. He counts it. Let's hope he counts it right and had not too much alcohol inside of him to mess up his numbers. All right. One more. We need some glory, guys. Gloria. The gladiator cogitating, thinking about glory, hastens to the arena. The gladiator, cogitating about day, glory, hastens to the arena. What's the verb to hasten, to hurry? Contendere. Contendo, contendis, contendit. Right, okay. So gladiator. Dei gloria cogitans. It's an are verb, so it's going to be an ans. Cogitans. Ad arenam contendit. Gladiator de gloria cogitans. De gloria cogitans, thinking about glory. Ad to arenam, accusative, contendit. Ad arenam contendit. De gloria cogitans. I mean, you could put it afterwards as well, the participle, if you wanted. So we've got ans and ens in the nominative case for a participle, an ing word. I hope this has made sense to you. I have indicated the plural. I don't think we're going to go into that too much now, but it might be a bit much, so we can come back to that. Essentially, ans becomes antes, ens for both of those become entes. So the farmers working would be agricolae laborantes. The slave girls walking would be ancillae ambulantes. The boys sitting, pueri sedentes. Alright, so ans to antes, ens to entes. But take that on board if you want to. Otherwise, I think we'll come back to that in another video. In any case, those are our participles, guys. Have some fun with it. You know, think about all the vocabulary. We've covered all the verbs, and try and be inventive. Try and make some of your own sentences with are verbs, with ans, ere verbs, with ens, and see what sentences you can construct based on the vocabulary we've covered so far. If you want to look up a few new nouns, that's fine. But we've covered a fair deal, so stick to what you know, and try to manipulate the language to form sentences. And I challenge you to put some in the comments for me, and I'll read them and tell you if they're correct or not. Okay, so that's your little challenge. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it has been of some use to you. I hope it's been enjoyable, something a little bit different. We will be coming back to the third declension nouns, but I thought this might be fun for today. So, gratias vobis ago maximas. I thank you very much for watching, and valete.